Okay, today I'm going to be showing you how to build a computer. I'm going to show you the parts I'm going to be using. First, we have the 990 FXA GD80 by MSI motherboard, or main board as they call it. Here you can kind of see a bit of the pictures here that they give you. We'll unbox that a little bit later. We have memory by Crosshair, the Vengeance. Have 4 sticks of 4 gigs for a total of 16 gigabytes. Then we have our hard drive here, Barracuda by Seagate. It's a 7200 RPM hard drive with a 32 megabyte cache. We also have a 22 times DVD writer light scribe with it as well. You can see the different specs on the back. It'll read, write, the Speed Plus. And then moving on to our video card, we have chosen the PNY GeForce GTX 550 Ti. And then over here we have our CPU by ADM, the Phenom 2. It's a quad core, and it's the black edition. And then here we have our fans, case cooling fans, 120 millimeter fans. And then we have our power supply, which is also a blue LED fan for some nice visual effects. And then we have our case, which I have chosen the Thermaltake Armor A60. It has a hot swap bay in it, which you'll see when we build it, and it's a toolless setup, so you don't need any tools for putting in your hard drive or the CD-ROM like I showed you. So we will get to that in the build. I'll unbox all this and we'll start building. Alright, what I've done is I have unboxed everything that I'm going to be using in this build, and we're going to do an out-of-the-box setup here. The reason for that is to test all these parts, make sure they all work whenever. That way it's easier to take parts on and off as needed, in case something is wrong for testing the board. As you can see, I've taken it out of the anti-static covering here, and I put it on top of the box that the motherboard itself came in to have a little higher working level here, and also it is a non-conductive base, so it's good for working on. What we have here is the actual CPU here, as you can see. This is the Amd CPU, and if you can see it right here, that it has a little bit of a kind of like a triangle. That triangle needs to meet the triangle on the actual motherboard itself, and it'll lay flat in there. As you can also see, there is some pins that are missing, and those missing pins need to line up with the missing pins that are on the motherboard. Alright, so to install your CPU, just lift this bar up and out of the way, and go ahead and grab your CPU here, and we will handle this, of course, by the edges because you don't want to damage anything, and we'll make sure everything is going to line up properly here. And we will just set this right down on top. like so. And it'll just drop in, and then we will just go ahead and push that bar down, and that's how you install the CPU. We are going to be using the stock fan. I have another build which you can probably hear in the background that is running. It does an adequate job under medium to no load. Under heavy load it runs a little hotter than I prefer. So water cooling with this particular CPU, which is the 6-core that I use in the other one, might be something to keep in mind for using a 6-core AMD. This is also 125 watts, so I'm going to assume this is probably going to run just as hot. So eventually probably want water cooling with this one as well. As you can see on here, the thermal paste has already been applied, so we don't need to worry about putting any thermal paste on this. You always want to make sure that you do have thermal paste to make sure that the heat is moved out of the CPU so it does not get damaged when you are doing your build. That will just clip on like that. Just go ahead and tighten it. That keeps it secure in your board. Alright, next we are going to be adding our Vengeance memory by Crosshair. Keep in mind you have your little notch here, which in your memory spots here, you can see that there is a notch. Let's see if I can get a better picture of that for you. You can see the notch is here. That is in the where the memory goes. I want to make sure that line is correctly. See, it's off center there, so you can only put it in one. Alright, so here we go with installing our memory. We'll open up these and slide them down in there, clicking one side at a time. And both click, and both of them will come from the down position and up, locking it securely in place. And we'll get the next one, do the same. Also hook up the CPU cooling fan. Alright, there we go. Alright, now it's time for putting on our power supply. And also our one of our most important things that we need to put power to is our video card. So I'm going to go ahead and put the video card, bring this over the edge a little bit, making sure it's locked securely in place. Don't want to damage that. And as you can see, it has a spot for power supply. You need to give power to it because this particular one, because it is a very powerful video card. Alright, so let's get our power supply cords here hooked up. Get a little bit of unraveled. This is somewhat of a modular, but not completely, as it does give you pre-hooked up what you would be normally needing to supply, which is not a bad idea. Alright, so let's see here. We have the 20 plus 4 pin, and there's the other one at, and there's the 8 pin. Alright, so power supply on this side over here, and we will hook up the 20 plus 4 pin here. Alright, and then over here on the other side is where you have your 8 pin. Want to make sure that is plugged in, especially if you're making a gamer system. It's going to need the extra power for your CPU. And we will hook that up just like that. And that is your basic build. Obviously we still need to put in the hard drive and the rest of it, but this is all you need to test it, other than we need to hook up a monitor to it. So we'll do that. Let's still one off of our other computer here. And we'll hook it up to our video card. Alright, and then we will grab the power cord over here and plug it in and turn on our monitor. So move this back. We can tell there's power being supplied to our motherboard, as our onboard start button here is lit up on this particular board. So we'll go ahead and push it, and power supply is on. And you'll notice on this particular one it has numbers that cycle through it to help indicate what might be problems for your particular build. And on the video card is spinning now.